A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars Reclamation, Episode 3, Residue of Fate. The Imperial Inquisition has come to the storm-wracked world of Osis, pursuing 4 escaped Force users, Kora, Quin-Wei, Zur, and Jace. Bidden to transport and protect priceless Jedi artifacts by the late Jedi Master KOVRA KASH, the Force users find themselves once again fleeing into the unknown, with the sinister third sister close behind them. Their flight takes them deeper into unknown space, beyond the furthest reaches of the Outer Rim. Danger lurks in the dark of Wildspace, but greater danger still pursues them. Each Force user must contend with their greatest failings, confronting past mistakes and buried fears, in order to forge a new path for themselves and the new Jedi Order. We pan down. We see the star field before us. Soon, a planet rises into view. Osis. Lightning flashes in the clouds that forever cloud this atmosphere with noxious fumes. There's a debris field surrounding this planet, the remnants of a great battle once fought here. Many battles have scarred this world. The Great Sith War, the Mandalorian Wars, the Clone Wars. And now, a Venator-class Star Destroyer jumps into the system. Aboard, Purge troopers prepare, priming their weapons, checking their armor, tightening buckles and belts. All silent. The third sister rounds the corner, draped in black robes. Her face, that placid glass mask with a shatter through it where the glass has been fused after being broken. She strolls along the line of Purge troopers. She stands at the head of them, turns, sweeping her black gaze over the equally placid helmets of these Purge troopers. A military leader might give a speech now, might offer words of encouragement. The third sister merely says, "Let us hunt Jedi." The Purge troopers nod. And in machine-like repetition, with practice movements, they all march onto the shuttles that will bear them down to the planet. Within the temple, down on the surface, deep beneath the surface as it were, 4 Force users stand in a storage room surrounded by relics of the fallen Jedi Order. A message from KOVRA KASH has just ceased playing on Quin-Wei's comlink. Reclamation protocol, he called it. He tasked Quin-Wei with taking these relics somewhere safe, a place he referred to as the temple. He told you that there's a ship deeper within the complex. And as the 4 of you stand there, trying to make sense of these words that you're hearing, Zor, you hearing the words of your late master, knowing for certain now that he is dead, and that his final thoughts were of you. The 4 of you stand there and hear the explosion from the surface, as you know your shuttle has been destroyed. Within minutes, the Imperials will be here. Quin-Wei, what are you doing as we pan over to you, standing in the corner, still holding that comm link.
Quin-Wei hears the explosion above, feels it, and it's more like the ringing of a bell in a Jedi temple. A reminder to look inward, not outward. A reminder to be at peace and not afraid. He closes his eyes and continues to meditate. He spoke the words to Zur recently about how there is no coincidence, that some things happen because fate flows down the paths that we have chosen. The pebbles around him start to flutter and raise and lift off the ground as he meditates, as he centers himself. He feels, senses something in the people around him, some sort of fleeting memory of Zerduran's former master. I would ask Zur what memory that is, what flickers into Quin-Wei's mind out of context.
There's a memory of Zur some time ago. He's like much younger than he is now. Where he's looking up at his master, his hand like shaking in what seems to be frustration. And this master, KOVRA KASH, looking down at him, just kind of like shaking his head, lightheartedly. I've told you 1,000 times, or you have to keep those emotions in check. You must keep yourself balanced. That fear, that anger will lead you down to dangerous places. You must remember, the path of a Jedi is always one of calm, one of focus. And the words just seem to like flow through Zur, whether he's listening or not. He's heard them so many times now, gotten this lecture tens of times at this point. And it's difficult for him to internalize it from how many times he's heard it. But his master will kind of grab his attention, putting a hand on his shoulder and just kind of giving him a look that says more than any of the words prior to it did, ensuring him of the importance. And Zur will focus himself and kind of give a nod, an attempt to like collect the frustration that he was feeling.
And Quin-Wei's eyes will open and look to you as you are now, having seen you in the memory.
There's another explosion, and dust kind of settles over everything.
Zur now feeling a similar whirl of emotions, though they've begun to calm now. The initial sound of his master's voice and the confirmation of his death, rattling him for sure. The link between the Force, I think it would be obvious to the others that that was the case. But as the message continued on, these words of reassurance, of hope, of action that needs to be taken, it helps to sort of focus Zur's attention, give him something, anything other than loss to think about in this moment. And the explosions that he begins to hear help to push that along as well. And then he'll just kind of like look to the others. Hand still wrapped, but not this time in frustration, but in determination around like the 2 lightsabers that he now has. We won't have much time, and there'll be many of them. We need to find this ship that my master talked about.
Great. Anyone got a map? Directions? Been here before?
A way for me to, at those words, extend my feelings through this complex and see if I can maybe find a way into this location?
Yeah, why don't you give me a let's do a sense check.
Okay. Nice. 17 and a 6 on the destiny die.
Very nice. You reach out with your senses. You feel the room around you, the stones, ancient. For a moment, you get distracted by just how old these stones are, and then you shake your head and you keep looking. Beyond these relics, beyond the dust stored here, there is a tunnel. It leads down. It's in the floor. There's a hatch in the floor under the crates. You follow that hatch down, you see a ladder bolted to the stone. The ladder is new, barely 20, 30 years old. At the bottom of the ladder is a hangar, and in there is a ship.
He opens his eyes, looks to the crates in the corner of the room, gestures his hands, and they slide over to the side of the room, revealing the hatch underneath them.
A master said there were things here that we would need to take, and I'll just kind of like scan around the room. Are those artifacts that had been mentioned also in this room with us now? Or are they elsewhere?
They are, yes. There are several crates full of relics as well as tomes. And you also, just kind of looking through the crates, also see that there are several holocrons stored in here as well.
I think Kora is prepared for these types of eventualities, having grabbed at least one or two types of sacks or bags, satchels from the now destroyed ship. And she pulls one off her back, pulls two out, and hands them to Zur and to Jace. Here.
As the sack is sort of thrust at Jace, I'm going to say he was just finishing applying part of the medipack, because while he was able to use the power of the Force to heal himself from the poison of that great beast in the darkness, he had still sustained an injury. So, Matt, I don't know what I'm doing with the medipack, if you wouldn't mind talking me through it.
Yeah, so with a medpack, you'll need to make a medicine check. You're looking for TN10. That's what you're looking for. A 10 or better to remove one wound with a med pack.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
What does TN stand for?
What's that?
What does TN stand for?
Target number.
My brain was going threshold, and I was like, no, that's not quite right.
That gives me World of Darkness flashbacks.
Yeah. Parker's like, mummies.
Nope. No more target numbers anymore.
That is an 11.
Okay, great. You are able to very quickly, not so expertly, but quickly at least, patch yourself up, and you can remove one wound.
So he's been doing this all the time that this hatch has been wrenched open and this sack is thrust into Jace's grasp, and he immediately, without question, begins to seize holocrons, tomes, anything that he can fit as compactly as possible in the short amount of time they have. Every time there is a shake of the great ceiling above them and dust cascading down between them, he is reminded of what is coming for them, who is coming for them, and he is desperately deciding what he will have to do when that time comes.
Yeah, as the four of you are grabbing this stuff, lifting the hatch, getting ready to descend, you hear the sort of echoes, reverberations through the stone of boots of ships landing. You know that the purge troopers are here inside the temple, and you're not sure how much time you have left.
So just to double check, the hatch that we're going through is a different way than the way that we came in, correct?
Correct, yes.
So in that case, Zur is going to give a hesitant look over to the master and the knight. I know this place is old and sorry for this, but he'll bring his hands up towards the doorway that they came through, and he's going to reach out with the force and try to pull down part of the ceiling across the doorway, so that it'll take them a lot longer to have to dig through and hopefully give us a buffer.
Yeah, let's make that an alter check.
Yes, sir. Is going to be a nice even 20.
Great. Yeah, you reach out with the force, and the stone is strong. It was built to last for millennia, but you reach in and you identify this sort of weakness within the stone, manipulate it, and pull down, and all of these stones come. And there's this pretty thick wall of rubble now in front of the door. There's no going back.
That should slow them down.
A couple of these crates are outfitted with repulsor lifts, meaning they can float along and descend slowly down the shaft. So you guys are able to at least load up those 2 crates and get them down the ladder without having to carry them. The rest, though, you'll have to carry yourselves. The hatch leading down itself, it's about 20 feet. It's not too long. You're looking down. You can see that it's dark at the bottom, but you see the rungs of this ladder sticking out from the stone. You can tell that this shaft was dug recently. It's new construction. The stonework is different. The walls themselves are more earthen, less quarried stone. As you begin to descend the ladder, carrying the equipment with you, the relics, followed by a couple of floating Duracrate containers, you step down, and at the end of a short corridor, there is a hangar. And inside this hangar, though dark, you can see the outline of a large vessel. This vessel is sort of long and cylindrical, with a cluster of engines at its rear, and you can see that the hull is painted red. This is a Republic consular cruiser, featured in the Phantom Menace at the beginning. It's the ship that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are flying in when they go to check out the Trade Federation. So it's a large ship, able to carry quite a bit. It's also outfitted with weapons, and it looks to be in fairly decent shape, though it's getting on in years. But you can see that it's sitting there waiting for you.
As we hastily make our way into the entrance of this hangar, is it clear to us that there is a clear trajectory that the craft can take off, or is there a blast door in the way or anything like that?
Yeah, you can see that there's a large blast door that is sort of closing off the hangar from the outside.
Jace is going to look to Kora and then take a sort of a nod at the ship. You've tried your hand at shuttles. Think you can handle that?
Worth a shot.
I'll get the door open. Jace presses the floating container that was in front of him towards... he's going to push it towards Zur. And he's just going to set off across the hangar as fast as he can to see if he can find a release for the door.
You come up to the door, and you can see that there indeed are these manual controls, and there's a large sort of pull lever, and if you reach and yank, it gives you a little bit of resistance, but then you pull a little bit harder and yank it down. And for a moment, there's nothing happens. And then there's the grind of gears, and the blast doors begin to slowly pull apart and open, dust raining down as they do so.
Oh, we still have our masks on, right?
Yes, you guys do.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. The end.
Yeah.
No atmosphere anymore.
And the toxic atmosphere floods in, and you all suffocate. All right, cool. Next time on Star Wars Reclamation.
Excellent. Yeah, so once the vast hangar doors are creaking open, Jace is going to swirl his cloak behind him and make his way back to his companions.
Jeff says, "I would live, haha, suckers." That's funny. So the blast doors are opening up. You're gonna go and check out the cruiser, Kora.
Yes.
You do so. You walk up, and there is basically like a little elevator that can come down. That's probably about 10 feet by 10 feet wide, and then it will take you up into the ship.
Does it seem to be powered on? I mean, is it?
Everything seems to be working.
Great. Yeah, she'll get up into the ship. Assume the cockpit is toward the front, and she'll kind of sit down in this like almost red leather chair and begin flipping all the switches and hitting the buttons, and there's that kind of whirring noise as things start humming.
Yeah, it takes a little bit. It's been many years since the ship has been powered on, but as you start flicking switches and priming the engines and things, there's this audible hum that begins to fill the hangar, and there's actually a bit of a strange sensation as the repulsors kick on, and you almost feel a little bit lighter as this sort of electromagnetic field surrounds the ship. The hum grows to a drone, and soon the ship is primed and ready to go. There's a subtle glow within the cluster of engines at the back. And as this happens, you hear and there's a gout of smoke and dust that comes down the hatch that you just climbed down. The purge walkers are beginning to blow through the wall of rubble. They are right behind you.
So Matt, really quick, did you mention that there were purge walkers before now?
Purge walkers?
Did you say purge walkers?
No, I said purge troopers, but let me just write something down really quick.
Okay. I swear I heard walker, and I
think he might have said it because I heard walker.
I may have said purge walker.
That I didn't know. Yeah.
I heard your blaster sound effects, and I was like, "That's an AT-AT," if I've ever heard one. No.
I'm just going to write that down.
Giving him an idea.
Yeah. Okay, well, I didn't have an encounter with a walker plan, but let's do this. No, so the purge troopers are right behind you. You can actually kind of hear the sort of garbled comm messages that they're shouting at each other as they begin to break through the wall of debris.
Load up, let's go.
Quin-Wei agrees and moves into the ship.
Yeah, Zur will make sure to take care with the crate that Jace had given him, with all the artifacts in it, making sure that they can find a good place for those, that even if, find some way to strap them in or put them in something so that even if the ship gets hit and it gets rocked, that the artifacts will be safe. But once he does that, he'll make sure that he's boarded as well.
Yeah, you're able to use the crash webbing in the cargo hold to secure all of this stuff.
And finally, Jace is going to throw himself into one of those leather seats that you'll find in any Star Wars vessel, put on a headset, and start pressing buttons on the sensor array.
Perfect. And Quin-Wei, the data chip that you were carrying, the one with the message from Master Korva, he mentioned that there were hyperspace coordinates stored on this data chip that would take you to the temple, and so you know that you at least have something to go on there.
I would hand over the data chip. And is it like inside the comm link, or I imagine it was like...
Yeah, you put it inside your comm
Got
link.
it. I would hand the whole comm link, including the data chip, over to Kora.
Yeah, okay. This feels important. Like having seen this like revered message, she's a little surprised to be handed something so special, obviously. But she'll kind of pull it out of a comm link, stick it into a data pad, and see if she can scroll through and find coordinates listed.
There's a lot of data stored on here, but you quickly scroll through it and you can find where the hyperspace coordinates are stored. Unfortunately, they are encrypted, and it's going to take the Navicomputer some time to decrypt the coordinates, but you at least have that.
Can I aid the computer?
You can certainly try, but as you begin to do that, there is a splash of red across the windshield of this vessel, and as you look to your right, you see shiny black armor as the purge troopers enter the hangar and immediately bring their rifles up and begin firing on the Republic cruiser. You hear the and they start sort of ordering each other around. You see a couple of them reach for grenade weapons on their belts and begin priming them.
Can I drive out of the hangar while it's still thinking?
Yeah, punch it. So let's do a pilot check.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
A lot.
I know. Okay, that's actually really good. That's 14.
So you push forward on that throttle, and this thing kicks. There's this... and you sort of take off from the hangar, leaving the purge troopers in the wake of the engines. The blast doors open up into this long tunnel that slowly, gradually sort of tilts upward, and so you're pulling up on the flight yoke, angling this thing up. There's just enough room in this tunnel for this thing to fit, just enough room for it to begin to angle upwards. And then just as soon as you sort of took off, you're met with sky. You break the surface, crashing, careening out of the ruined temple. You see more splashes of red and green against the shields as purge troopers take sort of pot shots at you as you're taking off. In just a few moments, the green toxic clouds of Osis sort of fade away, and you find yourself with the debris field that surrounds the planet filling the view screen. And for a second, you sort of breathe a sigh of relief a little bit, and then beep, 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 and you look down at the computer, and sort of thrusting toward your position is a Venator-class Star Destroyer. And as soon as you spot it, you can see smaller ships taking off from the hangars and zooming towards you.
Going to evasive maneuvers, I'm going to try and scramble their sensor array, and Jace is going to use a sensor check to see if he can scramble their position to buy them some time. He isn't particularly good at this, but I guess most people in Star Wars know how to do this sort of shit.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we're going to be using the stats for a CR-90 Corvette because it's similar enough to the Consular class cruiser. So this has sensors 2, so you can add 2 dice to your check as you use the sensors on the ship.
Oh, wicked. Okay. Oh, that's not bad. 16 in total. Not bad.
So you are able to scramble your sort of nav location. For at least for a moment, they won't be able to locate you using their radar, but you can see that the fighters have visual on you, and they're flying towards you at high speeds. There are gun turrets on the vessel if any of you would like to man them.
Quin-Wei is going to sit in the what's the second seat next to the pilot seat.
Co-pilot.
And the co-pilot seat. I'm like, what the hell is that called?
What's the seat where the other pilot, the co-pilot sits?
It can't be. It's not just the passenger seat. We're talking about a cruiser here. There's a lot of seats. All right. He sits in the co-pilot seat and closes his eyes.
All right. So we've got Jace is sitting on sensors. Quin-Wei comes up, sits in the co-pilot seat. Kora, you're obviously piloting. Zur, what are you doing?
Yeah, Azur will kind of see the others, and with the ships on their way, we'll know that we'll need to take those out if we have any chance of getting out of here, and we'll make his way over to the blasters.
Yeah, you find just off the side of this sort of central corridor that runs the length of the ship, there are several gun turrets. There's actually 4 in total on the starboard and port sides of the ship. Sort of 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom on each side. You're able to climb into the nearest one, sort of sitting. It's almost like this sort of spherical chamber, and the chair itself can rotate in all directions, giving you clear field of view. And there's a headset there that you're able to put on so you can communicate with everyone in the cockpit from that position as well. As soon as you sit down, you see 2 flights of ARC 170 fighters flying towards you, and there is a shuttle craft behind them following a short ways away. Let's go ahead and roll for initiative. So that's going to be a perception check. It's the first time I'm running ship combat in HyperspaceD6, so we'll see how this goes.
Oh boy. Why am I both stuff?
Oh, wait, you know what? Everyone stop what they're doing. Hang on. So just you, Kora, make a pilot check and add the vehicle's mobility dice. So the mobility dice for the cruiser is 2. So you make a pilot check, add 2 dice to it.
I would love to, via my meditations in the co-pilot seat, lend a force point to Kora to make this happen.
Ooh, okay.
Great call, Rob. Great call. Wait, do we reset our force points back to 3?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure you've already answered that once, but thanks again.
How many dice am I rolling?
So, okay, and Barker, what you can do, you don't have to necessarily give her a force point. You could just aid her using the force, and she'll get an additional die on the check.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
Okay, well, really quick, can I aid her by giving her a force point?
I don't see why not. I don't explicitly say you can in the rules, but I don't really see why you wouldn't be able to.
Because it doubles the dice is a
does.
reason why I would, and also a reason why I shouldn't be able to.
That is true. Also of note is that she's rolling initiative, which is important, but there's going to be other shit that she's going to have to roll against in the pilot chair.
All right, I'm going to keep my force point, and I'm going to give her that 1 additional die by aiding her.
Cool.
Okay.
So your pilot plus 2 for the ship plus 1 for the help from Quin-Wei. So that's what, 6 total?
6, yeah.
That's all right, I guess.
Could have been 10.
Could have been rolling 10 d6s.
Okay. Kitty, don't eat that. 5, 10, 15, 17.
17, okay. There's Squadron 1. 3. Okay. There's Squadron 2. Okay. So 1 squadron's actually going to be going before you. Red. And then you guys. And then blue. Okay, and the way it works is basically aboard the ship, you guys can go in whatever order you want. So the first squadron goes, and then all of you go. You take your turns in whatever order you wish, since you're all on the same ship, and then the second squadron goes. So the first squadron of ARC 170s comes screaming in, sort of just as you're sitting down in this gun turret seat, as we're putting the headset on. The ARC 170s sort of do a strafing run over the ship. So they're going to go ahead and fire. That's...
Are we using like static ship defense for this, or do I have any?
Yeah, static ship defense.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which the CR-90 Corvette's evade is 10, which I beat, but it has shields 8. Oh, but that side's only going to be 2. So 2 plus hull of 10 is 12. 5, 7, 5. Okay. So the didn't do enough to damage the ship, but it's going to be what is called rattled, which is minus 1d to rolls for the next turn for everyone on board. So basically these ARC 170s sort of fly over and sort of strafe across the shields, and there's sort of this blinding flash as sparks come flying out of the consoles and whatnot as the ship endures this damage. Okay. Oh, and the stat block, Taylor, is on, if you have the hyperspace rules open, it's on page 22. It's the CR-90 Corvette. Okay, that was the first squadron. Now everyone aboard the cruiser gets to go. If you guys want to follow an order, you can, or you can just kind of do like round robin.
I guess my first dumb question is there any benefit to going in a different order? Like if I have a good piloting check, does it give them advantage on their like gunnery stuff?
No, there isn't really an advantage to it, but I will say that if you're trying to basically help them, so let's say you're basically trying to maneuver the ship to give Zor a better shot in the gun turret, I will let you basically make a pilot check to see if he can benefit from that.
Yeah, sure. I'll try that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so give me a pilot check, adding the mobility of the cruiser.
$18.
18, nice. Yeah, you basically bank the ship and get it in a facing so that you can see the ARC 170s sort of turning, getting ready for a second strafe run, and you get a clear bead on them, Zur. You're able to add 1d to your check.
There's also one subtracted because we're rattled, right?
Yeah, I
Correct.
just remembered that. Hang on, I got to re-roll it because I forgot to subtract one. I only rolled 5.
I'm aiding you. No, I can't do that. Can't do it.
Sorry. That is 16 instead.
Okay, still decent. You're able to maneuver and do that despite the ship protesting a little bit, having endured the damage from those blasters. Laser cannons, rather. Okay, so Zur, you've got a pretty good shot on these ARC 170s if you want to take it from the gun turret there.
Absolutely. Yeah, he'll see the ship moving, kind of seeing the field of vision move as his turret will kind of shift in this sphere. Seeing these exposed fighters now will meditate for just the briefest half second, trying to center himself and prepare before he'll take a shot with the cannons.
Cool.
All right, so what do I need to do for cannons?
So you, on your character sheet, I don't know if you put any points into it, but this will be a gunnery check. But you can add the firepower of the cruiser, which is 3. So you get to add 3 dice to that.
All right, and then do I the extra one from Kora as well?
Yes, and actually, you actually don't necessarily get an extra one because you're everyone's -1 for the turn.
Yeah.
Since you took that not damage, but the ship became rattled from the attack.
So I have literally 1 die in mechanics alone. So luckily the ship has some bonus.
Yeah, you're aided a little bit by the computer systems of the ship.
That's pretty bad. So I rolled 3 1s.
Mm-hmm.
And a 4. So that's going to be 7, and one of those ones is on the destiny die. So really went for it there.
So you
Oh no.
bring the turret around, line up this perfect shot, and sort of fire, and nothing happens. And the ARC-170s very quickly changed their trajectory, did this crazy sort of K-turn maneuver, and are already flying back towards you, not even close to the position where you were firing. With that 1 on the Destiny die, I'm going to say that you sort of jam the rotors in this blaster turret, and you're going to have to move to a different one as you sort of try to maneuver it. And you look out the sort of glass sphere that's covering you, and you see this carbon scoring on the outside where the blaster bolts hit the rotors of this thing, so it is can't move anymore. All right, Quin-Wei and Jace, you guys still have turns?
Just so for me to clarify, would it? I'm guessing because I started on the sensors. Would it take me this turn of combat to run to the turrets to give Xur some support on?
So
the
they're actually
firepower?
close enough where you could get to one just using your move and then still be able to take an action.
I think that's probably the best thing to do. Get more fire blasting back towards them. So Jace flips off the headset, runs to one of those swivelly seats that they have, and engages the turbo lasers and goes to open fire. Now it's -1 on the die, so it's
-1, yep.
plus the destiny die. So let's see. Oh god! So it's a 1. It's a 1 on my attack, but a 6 on the destiny die. So
You don't forget to add 3 from the ship.
Yeah, you get 3 extra dice
yes.
from the
okay.
cruiser.
Yes,
yeah,
excellent.
so
yes,
add
yes,
those.
you're right. I'm so sorry. I'm so
that
sorry.
might
So
be
one.
the difference between success and failure here.
Okay, so in total that would be 12. Plus a 6 on the
12
destiny die.
is literally just enough to hit. So go ahead and roll damage. The turbo laser turrets are 8D on this thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It is a very
Ooh.
spicy cannon. Extra spicy.
Oh my goodness me. That is 21.
21 damage. Okay, let's see. They have shields 4. They've got 2 shields on the front, so that takes 2 and then 4. How much did you say? 16?
21.
21, sorry.
Oh my
21.
god, that's even better. So you sort of come up and we see inside the cockpit of this ARC-170, there are 2 pilots inside. They have their black helmets on and they're sort of staring down, and the pilot primes some proton torpedoes, and there's a beep, 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 and then and there's an explosion that just takes them out. This like explosion starts from the back of the ship and flames rush through the cockpit, and then we see the ARC-170 split apart, bits of it flying into pieces as this explosion just blossoms against the black of space, and the 2 remaining ARC-170s in the squadron sort of fly through the explosion and reorient themselves to continue their strafing run.
Not to grub for an advantage, but that was a 6 on the destiny die as well.
Yes. What would you like to do with that 6 on the destiny die? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking wiping out the Star Destroyer behind them. Just kidding. Just kidding. That was
You
a
said
lucky
that
shot.
so deadpan. Holy crap.
I'm thinking maybe it wouldn't destroy another one, but I think the debris from the explosion might throw off one of the pilots still pursuing us, so maybe they have less on their attack for their next run.
Yeah.
I could use that too, actually.
Yeah.
That would help what I plan on doing. That's awesome.
Great. So one of the fighters in this first squadron peels off as debris sort of flies in their flight path flight path, and they veer off in another direction, leaving their wingman alone. All right, Quin-Wei, you're up.
Quin-Wei senses the minds of the 4 pilots who are chasing after the Republic cruiser. These ships remind Quin-Wei of the Clone Wars and how they were once a pleasant sight to see in the skies. Now, not. He reaches out with the Force, sensing one of these ships is like thrown off course. Maybe it's doing like barrel rolls a little bit, losing control, and he wants to reach out and continue its fray, continue its path in a circular motion down around the Republic cruiser, underneath it, to slam into the sister ship, into the wingman. So that, I imagine, will take an alter check.
That is going to be an alter check. It's going to be a tough one.
Yep. I also lose 1 because we're rattled still.
Yep.
I am going to spend a force point to double my dice so I can roll 6.
It's required. It's actually in the rules.
Yes,
it says right here, anytime anyone uses a force point, you have to sing the Binary Sunset theme from A New Hope. There we go.
That's true. 4, 5, 6, 7, 11.
I thought you were like 4.
Sorry, 4, 7, 11, 14, plus 4 is 18, plus 6 is 24. And that 6 is on the destiny die.
Beauty. So we see again in the cockpit of this ARC 170, the pilot pulling a maneuver, trying to get back with its wingman. Then we see you, Quin-Wei, inside the cruiser. The sounds of battle drown out. As you sit there, your eyes closed, there's sweat beating on your forehead. Do you reach out with your hand as you're doing this? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I do not. My hands are in my lap.
You're sitting there and you feel the pilot. You feel their mind. The pilot suddenly grabbing the flight yoke. His co-pilot. What are you doing? I don't know. I can't. What are you doing? I can't. Steer! Turn left! Steer! There's this explosion. As the ARC 170 flies up under the Republic cruiser and slams directly into the bottom of the second ARC 170. Red Squadron has been completely destroyed. That was really cool. All right. So Blue Squadron flying in. More ARC 170s. They are going to launch some proton torpedoes. Here we go. So the X-Wing has 2. I'm using X-Wing stats for the ARC 170s. Close enough.
Yep.
1, 2, 3,
Makes sense.
4. Whew. 15, 18 is definitely going to hit the evade 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. 8 damage. 11. It's a lot of 6s, guys. 17, 22, 27, 31, 35, 40 damage with proton torpedoes. Negated by 4 shields and hull 10, so 14. 40 is 26. There is a beep, 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 on the hull, on the console in front of you, and before you can react, there is a deafening explosion from the rear of the ship. All of you are thrown forward. If you're not restrained, you fly to the floor, sort of sprawling out. There is a dozen klaxons going off on the console. Steam and sparks begin emitting from the panels lining the walls. A few of the panels pop open and wires sort of fly outwards. It's like Star Trek when they get hit and everyone's just flying around and there's sparks going all over the place. And then these Arc 170s just fly overhead, having completed their bombing run. So that damages 2 systems on the consular cruiser, meaning that all checks are going to be made at minus 2D aboard the ship now. And Kora, you see that it's going to take 2 more turns for these coordinates to get decrypted for you to make the jump to hyperspace.
Can I help it?
You can try. It's actually your turn because the red squadron that was going before you got wiped out. So, Kora, if you would like to try and make either a computer's check or an astrogation check, whichever is better for you, you can attempt to help the navicomputer decrypt these coordinates.
Where's my dice bag? I'm gonna use a force point. Everybody is reeling. I think Kora in her hurry had forgotten to strap herself in, and so she's kind of like up on one knee and one elbow, trying to fix this. And I'm going to use a force point. She kind of gets one hand up onto the computer, and starts pushing buttons like you do in Star Wars. I should have used a dice roller. 6, 8, 13, 18, 28.
Damn. You begin sort of doing what you normally do, clicking the keys, toggling the switches. And then everything goes quiet. You're sitting there at the console. Behind you, sparks are flying. You hear over the comms Zur and Jace shouting from the gun turrets. More splashes of red and green across the shielding as the Arc 170s prepare for another pass. And then something tells you what to do. You get a flash, Kora, in your mind. A world distant, outside of known space, shrouded in mist. It's there. The temple is there. With a flurry of movement, you type in coordinates. Are they right? They're at least half right, because they've been decrypted somewhat. And you're not sure how you know, but you typed in the rest of the coordinates. As you see them sitting there on the navicomputer, blinking green, and you see the lever at the front of the console that you push to initiate hyperspace. You see the Venator-class Star Destroyer just hovering at the edge of the debris field. And it fires. What do you do?
Her eyes dart to Quin-Wei. She feels the link. And she puts her hand on the handle. Pushes.
The stars elongate in front of you, and then aboard the Venator-class Star Destroyer, they see the Republic consular ship blip out of existence. The officer on board. Damn. We've lost them. Who's going to tell her? The other officer looks at him and says, she went out with a boarding party. He looks down at the sensors. Then there's still a chance. In hyperspace, the consular ship flies through a tunnel of white and blue. You're not sure if you're going to the right place, Kora, but you at least haven't run into a star yet. The coordinates seem to be safe, at least for now. They are taking you well outside of the outer rim.
Kora looks at Quin-Wei and then kind of puts her hand to the headpiece. Is everyone all right?
Quin-Wei takes a deep breath. And smiles, waiting to hear from Jason Zur.
There's
Still breathing. Just about.
Zur's like in the cockpit of this turret, like with his like hand like on the edge of the cylinder, as if he was going to like force repel away a Star Destroyer blast somehow in desperation, just like trying to do anything. When suddenly there's just like the across the horizontal image of the stars moving as he like sees it from side view, and he'll just like breathe a heavy sigh of relief at hearing Kora's voice. Think so.
There's quite a bit of damage to the ship. Kora, you finally get a chance to kind of go through the logs. The ship itself is probably going to limp its way to this planet. From there, you're not sure. The shields are essentially inoperable. The sublight engines, one is disabled. The other two, just about there. You're pretty sure you can get there, and you're pretty sure you can land. Any more than that, the ship's not going to hold together.
Yeah, I think it's as Kora's going through this, you can all feel the sense of unease and fear and frustration that they got hit so hard that she couldn't move it any faster, any better, and that she doesn't know if she can fix it or even where they're going.
Zur will make his way from the turret, not needing it anymore, where they're at here, back to the main cockpit where the master and the pilot are. Just in time, as it always seems to be. It was close.
I'm only mostly sure we're going to the right spot.
I'm all the way sure that we're going to the right spot.
How?
Sometimes you just have a feeling.
Quin-Wei thinks about making a comment about how the journey is more important than the destination. But then he feels uneasy. He feels a little bit drained from his actions in making those two Arc 170s collide. That was a big feat, and he kind of begins to stand up and then stumbles back down into the co-pilot seat and decides maybe he'll stay there.
Jace walks through into the cockpit and leans his two arms on the backs of the chairs, looking at the whirling vortex that is before them. And he looks to Kora and he says, "Is there any way that we can mask our trajectory? The Star Destroyer was able to get a glimpse at us for a long time. It could be that they are able to follow us shortly."
I honestly don't know. If we drop out of hyperspace, I don't know if we'll be able to get back in. This thing is hurting. We got hit really hard.
But still in one piece, thanks to you. You did well, all of us. There is hope yet. Let us see what this new destination brings us.
There will have like this sudden shaking hesitation as he'll like try to map on the ship where we got hit and where we put the artifacts.
The torpedo did hit near the aft section of the ship. You know that the cargo hold is near that area, so it's probably worth checking.
Ezra will just look to the others. I imagine they can kind of sense that sudden like gut wrench of fear. I'm gonna go check the cargo just to be sure. And I'll turn and begin heading in that direction.
You walk down the corridor of the ship and move to the cargo hold. The lights are flickering as you get back there. There's quite a bit of damage near the back of the ship. Sparks occasionally sort of fall on you harmlessly, and you move into the cargo hold and you see that the crates are undisturbed, thankfully. Nothing is tipped over. Everything is still secure under the crash webbing. Then the lights go out. There's darkness. Then there's another flash of sparks. There's a figure standing in the cargo hold, Zer. You see her for a split second. The glass mask of the third sister. And as soon as you see her, she's gone as darkness once again takes the cargo hold.
There will immediately like step back. Both of the lightsabers on his hips will like into his hands and like ignite in like a yellow and white cross. And I'll kind of like shed them like across side to side so that it extends like a light field around him. That burst of fear, he'll like try to like calm his heart and his mind as he like feels the sudden sensation, and he'll like try to reach out with the Force to try to sense at what life form might be there, if any, or if he's just simply so rattled by everything that's happened, the death of his master and the escape, that he's seeing and feeling things.
You sweep these sabers around, the yellow blade and the white blade. They light the cargo hold well. There's no one there. But as you reach out with the Force and try to sense, you feel it bump into something. Something is deadening the Force around you. And as this happens, all three of you on the ship sense it. You sense that familiar tug, that familiar deadening of your senses. All of you suddenly feel as though you are standing in an echo chamber, distant from each other, no longer connected by your link. You have all felt this before, though not to this extent.
I think there's probably that moment where the three of us in the cockpit feel it and look at each other. Sir.
Without saying a word, Jace is up out of his seat and he is running as fast as he can from one end of the ship to the other, lightsaber in hand, igniting it.
Quin-Wei stands slowly and follows behind Jace, but he looks like he's like limping. He looks a little wary.
Like the sabers will kind of like spread out, and then I'll like kind of take them in a guarded cross stance. No need to be shy. I can feel you there. Let's get this over with.
A voice speaks out from the darkness, coming not from one spot, but from all around you, reverberating within your mind, Zur. We are waiting for one more to join us. Jace, you come around the corner, you see darkness at the end of the hallway, and you see flickering of lightsabers as you see Zur standing there with both sabers out.
It's a mirroring of that moment within the hangar of the Purge. Jace rushes to Zur's side and falls into the formation that has served them so well. This time augmented by the extra white saber in Zur's hand, protecting from all angles. And out of the corner of his mouth, he whispers to Zur, "Where is she?"
I don't know exactly where yet. She's in here, hiding. She said she was waiting for one more to join.
Jace, in your mind, you hear, "So, you came to help him." A red saber ignites on the other end of the cargo hold, and then a second one out the other side. The blood red glow illuminates the glass mask on the third sister's face. You came for your new Padawan, Jace Tyro. You couldn't be bothered with the old one. Cast aside. Like a tool you no longer needed.
Jace takes a step forward into the darkness. His sapphire blade now at his side, opening himself in body language and defense. And first of all, he's going to reach out with the Force, understanding that it's going to be so much more difficult, understanding that his apprentice's powers have evolved, descended into darkness to hamper ours. He's going to reach out with the Force to see if there is any good left in Skyfolk.
Please give me a sense check at -2 dice.
Oh, -2. Good Lord. 6.
As you reach out with the Force, the third sister tilts her head slightly. No, you won't be poking around in here.
He looks at his apprentice, his friend. Sky, I know there is good in you. It was my failure that caused us to be separated. My failure that led you into the grasp of the Empire and the shadow of the dark side. But despite all of this, you are my responsibility. And I will be there for you until the very end. Come back. It is not too late. You know in your heart you will never truly be one of them.
There's this silence, punctuated by the humming of lightsaber blades. If you truly still care about me, Jace, if you truly think I am your responsibility, then you should also know deep inside that you have not yet paid for your failure. You have not yet suffered as I have suffered. You want to do something for me, Jace? Then you can die. She holds the blade up. Put up your saber and fight me. For the first time, you feel a hint of emotion at her voice. For the first time, she sounds human as she speaks. The veneer slipping just slightly as anger creeps in.
Jace looks to Zer and then back to the dark apprentice before him. My friend here, though he is young, he is wise beyond his years, and he told me that my failures are owned by all of the Jedi. You stand not just before me, but the past and future of the Jedi Order. And if I fall here, if we fall here, it will be destroyed by you, by your empire, and by the dark side. And that I cannot allow. And then he raises his saber, ready.
I think that's a good place to take a quick break.
Holy crap.
Oh my god. Queuing up Duel of the Fates.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break here. Before we go on break, though, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves and their characters. And also, I want to briefly say that the overlay that we've been using for all 3 sessions of this game was created by our good friend Lloyd over at the RLDM. There's actually a link down in the description to go check out his Fiverr page, where he offers sick overlays like this at incredibly reasonable prices, and he gets them to you like super quick, does revisions for you and everything. He not only did the overlay that we're using, but also the splash screens as well. So if you're looking for a cool and affordable way to get an overlay for your stream, definitely check out Lloyd's stuff. That link is down in the description. So I'm going to toss it to the players here so they can introduce themselves and their characters, and then we will take a quick break. We'll go ahead and start with Rob playing Jace.
Hi, my name is Rob. I'm from the channel Performance Check, and yes, indeed, I'm playing Jace Tyro, who is standing before his destiny. This has been coming for him for a long time, and it really feels like that. I don't know what it is. This is the 3rd session, but I feel so invested with these characters, and it does feel like a saga unfolding before us. I think the opening escape from the Star Destroyer is just classic Star Wars, and the tension that was mounting, I was just waiting for it to start opening fire on us, and yeah, it was such a expert display from our very own Matt Click here. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, Barker playing Quin-Wei.
Hey guys, I'm Barker. You can find me on Twitter at InspireTheBarks, and I am playing Quin-Wei Mox, who is listen, I'm just gonna say one thing. I threw a starfighter into another starfighter using the force, and that's probably the coolest thing I've done in any role-playing game, never mind Star Wars games. So I'm really happy about it. That alone was worth it, but it's because of me that this game is delayed, and I just wanted to thank all of you wonderful 4 people for being so cool with rescheduling for today. And so far so good. The starfighter, I said, I'm going to say one thing. He says 3 things. Hashtag Barker. The starfight, the ship combat felt so Star Wars, like rattled, like it seems, you know. Anyway, your descriptions, the mechanics seem to work very well.
Awesome, thanks, man. Yeah, Jeff playing Zur. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm Jeff. So I don't know that I said this last time, but now 1/3 of Tabletop Terrors. So we have officially started releasing videos back on that channel again, which I've been helping out with. So yeah, go and check out those videos if you want to hear some nerds talk about D&D for probably too long, but that's the brand, so that's what we do. Yes, I'm playing Zur, the Keldor Jedi Padawan. And yeah, what Rob said is like spot on for me too. Of like, it's, you know, halfway through 3 sessions in, and it feels like an entire story has managed to like unfold, start to nearly finish. It's just in a very short time, and I'm here for it. And I got to shout out Rob just killing it with the Jedi dialogue over there. That was amazing there right at the end. So
I've
yeah,
been waiting
wait
all
to
of
see
my
the
life
end, yeah.
to talk to my dark side apprentice.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know.
Rehearsing in the mirror a couple hours each day, getting ready. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Rob's like, you have no idea how many times I've had this exact same conversation just like driving in the car by myself. And finally, Taylor playing Kora.
Hey everyone. Yeah, I'm playing the human who's in way over her head. And gosh, this game is just amazing. You guys are a fun bunch of nerds to hang out with. Really enjoy every part of it. The system and the GMing is stellar. Matt, your sound effects are still just the coolest thing. Like, it blows my mind every time. Like, that sounds just like the movie. So 10 out of 10 all around, maybe even 11 out of 10.
Whoa. Hey, let's not be getting too crazy here with the 11s out of 10s, but thank you. I very much appreciate it. So yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some more Star Wars action. So please stick around if you don't mind. And a reminder, do not turn off your camera. I always have to make a sound effect. Whenever it transitions, I'm always like, pew! Even if people can't hear it, it happens every time. In the cockpit of the consular cruiser, Quin-Wei and Kora, you both sort of become aware of this feeling that you've had before, this dampening of the force, the deadening of the force. And you hear from the hallway behind you, Jace sort of sprinting down towards the cargo hold. What are the two of you doing?
Quin-Wei stands and begins moving down the hall. The ship doesn't need a pilot right now, correct? Because it's in hyperspace.
Yep, just in hyperspace. Yep.
Excellent.
You guys are all lightsaber dueling. You're like, wait, who's flying this thing? Shows the ship just like.
Quin-Wei says we should check on our friends.
Yeah, Kora kind of nods and like looks at the nav system one more time, and it kind of adjusts the handle. Right. And she'll come up behind Quin-Wei, alongside him. Are you injured?
There are many varieties of wounds.
Is that a yes or a no?
He smiles. He says, I'm fine, but thank you.
She gives you her best skeptical face.
Please, you're faster than I am. And he gestures in front of him that he can fall behind in the line.
She kind of nods. Okay. And she'll take off running after Jace, the footsteps feeling very empty.
You sort of catch a fleeting glimpse of Jace's trailing sort of tunic as he rounds one of the corners leading into the cargo hold. And as he does so, one of the doors leading to one of the escape pods opens up, and you hear behind you another door open up. You see shiny black plasteel as a purge trooper steps into the hallway. He reaches behind him and pulls out this strange-looking sort of octagonal shape, throws it forward, and it unfurls, opening up and sort of floating there, becoming this sort of floating riot shield. And he then brings his blaster rifle and puts it over the riot shield, and you hear the telltale of the blaster preparing to fire. Behind you, you sense something similar happening. Quin-Wei, you see this as well. You are now, both of you, flanked in front and behind by purge troopers.
I actually imagine that both of us kind of in unison, because Kora is force sensitive and is slowly like honing her abilities. You do what you want, Kora, but I imagine both of us like immediately turning to our respective opposite directions and kind of like standing back to back. Quin-Wei definitely turns around and faces the trooper on the cockpit side of the hallway, and prepares to act.
The purge trooper behind you, Quin-Wei, the one that you're now facing, is this large purge trooper in this heavy armor, and he brings this huge blaster rifle to bear over a similar floating riot shield, and you hear that powering up. So let's go ahead and roll for initiative. That includes the two Jedi currently preparing to duel the third sister. So give me some perception rolls if you would, and you can put them in the chat. I'm going to roll for the troopers.
Our perceptions aren't at a minus right now, correct?
Correct. The only thing that is at minus right now is if you try to do anything with the ship because it's damaged, and if you try to do anything with the force because it's being dampened. Where are my stat blocks for my people? There they are. They have perception 3. 5, 6, 12. Okay. So, okay, 11 for both you. Okay, so
I got 1 on my destiny die, and she got 6 on hers, so maybe that's
Okay.
the breaker.
and
I actually couldn't remember if the destiny die factored into initiative.
it does. Yeah, we can decide what we want to do with that here. Kora, and then it'll be Quin-Wei. So because you guys are in different locations, I'm basically going to have 2 separate initiative lists here. One in the hallway and one in the hold. So in the hallway, Purge Trooper number 1, and then Purge Trooper number 2, and then Kora, and then Quin-Wei. In the hold, it's going to be Third Sister. Then it'll be Zur, following right behind, and then Jace. That's funny. The initiative for the hold was 14, 13, 12. You guys just rolled right in a row there. Zur, and then Jace. So let's cut to the hold. We're going to be using the duel rules here. For both fights, actually. I wanted to kind of try that out and see how it goes. So basically what that means is that you're going to be trying different things to accrue a pool of dual dice. And you each start with 1 in the pool. Zur and Jace, you're going to be sharing a pool. And Quin-Wei and Kora, you're going to be sharing a pool. So if you want to elect one of you to keep track of it, you can do so. Or I can, if you want me to. Cool. Jeff will track for Zur and Jace.
We start with 1 collectively, right?
1
between us?
collectively, correct. Yes, 1 for each pool. All right. Okay, cool. And then Taylor's killing a bug, and Barker's going to track the dual dice. So we'll go ahead and start
I
in the
sense
hold.
the dark side in Taylor.
Yeah. So the Third Sister has her distinctive double-bladed lightsaber, this specialized weapon wielded by Inquisitors, capable of revolving around itself. She holds the double blades in sort of a defensive stance and reaches out with the force, closing all of the doors in the hold. All the doors close, and she stands there in the center of the hold. And then she reaches out with the force once again and is going to make a alter check to try and hurl one of the crates of relics at you, Jace. So Jace, if you want to give me a let's call it, you can either try and oppose with the force, or you can try and dodge out of the way using agility.
So Jace is going to attempt to hurl himself out of the way with agility. Hopefully the contents won't be too damaged. We'll see. That's 15 for the agility.
16 on the altar.
Ah!
Oh,
Right in the
man.
chest.
So she closes the doors, and then and this crate comes flying towards you, end over end, Jace. You make to dodge out of the way, but you're not quite fast enough, and this crate slams into you, the contents spilling out across you, dropping you to the plating of the hold. And we'll go ahead and call that 2d worth of damage. It'll be 7 damage as this crate slams into you. Make sure you negate that by your what's it called? Soak.
Sorry,
Yep.
real quick. Are we doing damage even though it's a duel?
Oh, not damage. I'm sorry. We're doing lightsaber duel.
I was wondering.
I did write this game. Okay, so we're gonna do. She gets to add a dice to her pool.
For sure.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. So you're thrown to the plating, Jace, as this happens, and as soon as you hit the deck and you're sort of out of the fight momentarily, she charges forward towards you, Zur. So Zur, you're actually up.
Zur will see his ally sent hurtling to the ground by this crate. And in that momentary glimpse of like looking down to make sure that he's okay, will like glance back up to see her like already halfway towards him. He'll bring the 2 lightsabers up, whirring to meet her, begin to move into a charge. With the saber in his left hand, the white saber, he'll like flip it around so that it's reverse, and then send it hurtling through the air using the force to like keep it spinning, so that as he charges to like clash with the in front, the other saber will come from behind to attack her using a lightsaber throw.
Very cool.
Use an altar with a force point to add some extra spice.
Cool. All right, cool. She'll try to oppose it, and she has some force points too. I forgot to give her force points last time, so she's going to be spending those as well. Not this time, but she has them.
All right, so I already rolled, and thanks to the force point, I got 42.
What? Okay, hang on. Is that with the -2 dice from her force dampening?
Yeah, I normally have 6 in altar.
Jesus Christ. Okay. I don't even know why I bothered rolling. I could roll 6 on all these dice and it wouldn't matter. So she comes and meets you sort of expertly, and then sees the lightsaber coming around a little bit too slowly, and has to sort of dodge out of the way of it and get herself out of position. So go ahead and add a dice to the pool there, Zur. And I imagine with that altar roll, you're able to expertly reach up and grab the saber as it sort of comes by, and you now have it again in your hand.
Yeah, he'll do like the spin, like that they do with the lightsabers before like bringing them back down in front of him.
Hell yeah. All right. Jace, you are on the floor of the hold with this crate on top of you. You see your former Padawan clashing with Zur. It is your turn.
Maybe it's the adrenaline, maybe it's the force, perhaps it's pure reflex. The crate hitting Jace is enough to send him whirling backwards, tumbling over and over. But he's able to use the momentum. For a second, he sees a breeze through the valley, not fighting against it, but moving with it. He calls upon the force to put an immense amount of power behind his counterattack. He slams into the wall behind him and is able to push off the wall, flipping over his opponent, over Zur, stabbing down with his lightsaber. His first attack using the force point to double the die, which gives me 39 on my first attack.
Okay. She will oppose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think I'm going to be able to hit that. 6, 11, 16, 24, 28. Not quite good enough. So what does that look like, Jace, as you successfully press the attack?
Well, it's not enough to actually hit her, but this is a duel, so I'm imagine that this is going to be pushing her back. As he flips over her, the lightsaber just stabs down, and she actually has to push all of her weight to one side to evade the blue blade. And he then lands beside her for a normal attack of 24, swinging horizontally with his saber as he lands behind her.
Cool. 4, 10, 13.
Sorry, do we get multiple? Sorry to be rules guy here, but since we're still in duel, right? So
Duel.
No,
So
it's
one
only
action per
turn.
Yeah, it's only
one
one.
action
No,
per. Yep.
apologies. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I do apologize. Yeah,
Jeff
so
is now in charge.
that's the second
everything.
time that Jeff's had to remind it.
No,
as well.
listen. Jeff's in charge. Everybody.
Jeff's in charge.
I rescind.
So he in that case, then yeah, he just lands behind her and gives a twirl of the lightsaber and is ready in a ready stance behind her. So
Great.
we're on either side of her now.
Yes, you guys are flanking on either side, and she's sort of parrying with both sides of this lightsaber, fighting desperately against the two Jedi. All right, back in the hallway. The first thing we need to deal with, Quin-Wei and Kora, is Kora, you rolled a 6 on your perception check. Any ideas what you want to do with that?
Offset Quin-Wei's 1.
Sure. You can absolutely do that. Yeah.
Oh.
No, I would do something cool with it. I'm kidding.
Okay, cool.
No.
No.
Good idea.
Quin-Wei's on his own. He's fine.
Yeah, no, he's fine.
He's been at this a lot longer than you have, so.
What are my options for this? Like, kind of for initiative bonus stuff.
So normally with like initiative, something good that you can do with it is like notice something about the enemy, or get yourself in like a really advantageous position. Could be that you like you're able to like duck into an alcove fast enough to avoid the blaster. It could be that you're able to like move forward quick enough where you're like right in front of them. Basically just you start the battle off at an advantage.
Open to ideas here.
You
We're in a hallway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty narrow. Like the riot shields that the purge troopers are using are essentially the exact width of the corridor,
that's kinda
meaning
what I
that
was
you can't
picturing.
move past them. Yeah.
How tall are the ceilings?
10 feet? That's my favorite question in an RPG. Whenever a player asks, how tall are the ceilings? I'm like, okay. What kind of bullshit is about to happen right now?
Are there chandeliers? I mean,
Is there anything I can swing from?
I think really for this advantage, it's going to be more about her positioning with Quin-Wei and giving the pair of them some synergy as they parry. So I don't know if we can get a bonus to our parry for this first round or something.
Yeah, I'd say that's yeah, we'll go ahead and say that you can benefit from essentially cover, giving you +5 to your parry on this round. Well, not that matters. Basically, you'll get an extra because we're not doing static defenses. So basically, because you two are working together with that 6, you can basically give each of you +1 on your +1 dice on your first check here. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right. And then Quin-Wei, you rolled a 1 on your destiny die. What do you think that means?
I think we're caught flat-footed, and so we should lose 1 die each. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so my initial thought was that this purge trooper sees a blast door's like pad on the wall and blasts it. So the blast doors come collapsing down, separating Kora and I.
Yep. That's exactly what happens.
Cool.
So the purge trooper and the blast door falls down, and you actually feel it barely miss you, Kora, as it slams down behind you. You turn and you can see through the transparisteel Quin-Wei on the other side, facing off against this large purge trooper. Okay, so the Purge Troopers get to go first, all that said. The first one is going to level their blaster at you, Kora, and take a shot over the riot shield. So that's going to be the blaster 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Kora, you can either attempt to repel with your lightsaber or dodge out of the way.
So I would like to attempt to repel it.
Yeah. That's 11, 16, 21.
Is that my static parry or?
No, so that'll be, you'll roll melee to try and to knock it aside, basically. You're looking for 21 or better with that blaster shot.
Am I at any minuses? I'm not in the room with her.
Yes, but she's affecting the whole ship, but that's only for force stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're good. It's not affecting your melee.
Right. I think of lightsabers as force, so in my head they're the same thing.
In an early draft of Hypers, here's a little behind-the-scenes little nitbit here. The lightsaber skill was a separate skill under the force. Basically, you had to use the force to fight with a lightsaber, which felt cool, but it ended up being a little finicky, so we ended up changing it. Anyway, okay, back to the show. That was your behind-the-scenes look into the creation of HyperspaceD6.
So Kora has seen some of this lightsaber battling. It's 13 total, but a 1 on the destiny. So she is doing her best to attempt to mimic it. I'm sorry, that is not 13 total. I cannot math. I'm an engineer, I can't math. Sorry. My God, how do you add numbers?
Listen, I used to work at a civil engineering firm, can confirm engineers cannot math.
17. Sorry.
Still not quite good enough with the 21 from this Purge Trooper's blasters check. The Purge Trooper, just a hail of blaster fire. And you're able to sort of knock the first couple shots aside, but then one finds its way through your lightsaber, striking you in the shoulder, and you sort of find yourself toppling into an alcove to desperately trying to find cover as this blaster fire erupts from behind the riot shield. They add a dice to their pool. Okay. Purge Trooper number 2. Firing at you, Quin-Wei. Are you going to try and dodge or parry with your saber?
The green saber comes up into his hand, and he's going to try to parry it with his melee.
Melee. All right, you're going for, let's see, 7, 8, 10. Only 11. I rolled really poorly on Quin-Wei's check, and I rolled awesome on Taylor's blaster check. Sorry.
Excellent. Oh, crap. Okay. Okay. 6, 7, 13, 14, 15, 16 with another 1 on the destiny die.
Okay. So you're knocking the blaster bolts aside. With the 1 on the destiny die, though, I'm going to say that he kind of pushes you back to the point where you're effectively blocking these blaster bolts, but you're actually shoved back against the blast door and have no more room to retreat as the Purge Trooper is slowly coming towards you with this riot shield sort of pressing up against you. It's sort of like the Stormtrooper version of the garbage smasher from A New Hope. The walls are just closing in around you.
Matt, I was going to ask, I also got a 1 on my destiny. So is Kora in the same position where she's backed up against the wall?
Yes. Yeah, I forgot about your 1 on your destiny die. Yeah, you're basically, both of you are backed up against this blast door, and the riot shields are just floating towards you with the Purge Troopers firing over the top of them. It's a very effective tactic against Jedi. All right. So, Kora, it is now your turn. What would you like to do in the duel?
So the shield is the width of this, and he's coming towards me.
Mm-hmm.
How tall is the shield?
The shield is just under, it's like about 4 feet tall. It's tall enough where the trooper is able to benefit from cover, but still put their blaster on top of it.
Kora has watched the Jedi do strange things. And she gets an idea. A dumb idea. I would like to try and mimic Jace's somersault unknowingly and try and go over and land on the other side of the Purge Trooper.
Okay. We'll call that an agility, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, let's go for it. So agility against the troopers, let's say, they would probably just try and like hurl you backwards. So I'm going to say it's going to be against the trooper's strength. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Just
cool.
For clarity, did I have the big burly looking trooper?
No, you do not. That's Quin-Wei's.
Okay. All right. See if I can do the math correctly the first time. 12.
Are you serious? That's exactly what I rolled, which means you're good because you met it. I have 6, 5, and 1 on my strength check. So describe what that looks like.
The trooper's about halfway between the distance from where he started. Kora's got the one shoulder, which is kind of singed now. Her hand hits the button on the lightsaber, and it sheaths. It's gone, and it's this full effort run, and then there's a jump. And for a moment, she's not here. She's at a canyon she's never seen, trying to cross it. And then she finishes her flip and lands on the other side. The hand goes down, the blade returns, and she spins to face the Purge Trooper.
That is awesome. Go ahead and add a die to your side's pool. The Purge Trooper is stunned as this happens. They sort of watch you flip end over end and turn, and you're right there. And they're just completely caught off guard. All right, Quin-Wei, what would you like to do on your turn as this trooper closes in on you?
Quin-Wei deflected the blaster bolt and is going to reach his hand out and make a fist back towards himself and attempt to disarm the weapon from this Purge Trooper.
Great. Let's call that an alter versus this trooper's strength.
Cool, and I get -2.
Correct.
Right?
Yep. Good. Good remembering.
Okay. Enforce. Okay, 9.
I only rolled a 5. That'll do it. You, even with the force dampened around you, it's like reaching through mud to try and do this. It doesn't feel as natural and second nature as it normally does as you reach out, grasping the weapon with your mind and then yanking backwards. The trooper it slips out of their grasp and the blaster goes clattering onto the floor. You didn't roll high enough to do something cool like catch it and do something shit, but it clatters to the floor. The trooper immediately reaches back and pulls out this electro staff, sort of igniting the end of it and stepping past the shield. Even without the shield in front of him, you see this trooper is basically almost as wide as the hallway anyway. They're just this huge Purge Trooper, and they step forward and rush you with the weapon. So go ahead and add another die to the pool there, if you would, please, Quin-Wei. I've got 2 total for the Purge Troopers and versus whatever you guys have in your pool. Back in the hold, the third sister, expertly defending herself, is going to sort of press the attack and kick outward at you, Zur, trying to get you out of the fight so she can deal with Jace personally. So this is going to be a melee check if you want to oppose with melee as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, it's a good roll for me. 12, 17, 22, 26, 29.
I'm being conservative with my own force points, so that's only going to be like a 19 for me.
So she kicks out and sort of knocks you to the ground. You clatter backwards, and she turns to face Jace personally. You see that black glassy mask as she begins to sort of circle you, Jace. And you hear this like light breathing reverberating through the mask. She's crouched low in this defensive stance, almost like an animal sort of stalking its prey, moving about in this dark hold that is lit only by the beams of these lightsabers. You hear her voice in your mind. This Padawan is going to die alongside you, Jace. Will you fight with them? Or will you run like last time? Zur, it is your turn. You see the third sister circling around Jace.
Yeah, as Zur like tumbles onto the ground, like taking care that as he falls, he like keeps his lightsabers like up away from the ground, to like not cut a hole in the bottom of the ship or anything like that. He'll like reach out with the hand to like pull one of the crates closer, so as he can like roll up, he can like leap up off the side of it to put himself back upright. Before then, like leaning down to like dash towards her, lightsabers crossed in hand, using the exposed time of her where he's at her back to try to cut her down.
She
So
is
be
going
a melee
to use,
from me.
She's going to use one of her force points.
Me too.
Great. Here we go.
And I am going to be sitting at 32 for this one.
32, 6, 11, 16, 22, 23, 24. There's a lot of ones. 26, 27, 28.
Awesome.
So that's a dual die for you. What does that look like, Zur, as you charge in?
So he knows that she'll be able to sense him, so that this won't be like a killing blow. It won't be that easy. So when he comes down with the first saber, the white saber in his left hand, he'll like cut down at the back of her calves to make her jump, knowing that she won't be able to get the lightsaber behind her in time. The saber in the right hand coming up down over the top, so she has to like block upwards, or he'll like lean in with an elbow to like smash at her hip while she's in the air, so that she'll like fall down, tumbling onto the ground, similar to what she had just done to him not too long before.
Yeah, she goes toppling to the ground, her lightsaber disengaging momentarily before she comes back up to her knees and ignites one side of it only, holding it in a single saber fashion. Jace, you're up.
Yeah, so she's tumbling away from Zur, and Jace once again sees his apprentice a long time ago now, where she's younger and they're sparring, and her advantage has always been her maneuverability and her agility. Jace knows he has to slow her down. So as Zur makes this stunning attempt against her and she's thrown backwards, she rolls up onto her feet, and Jace just comes out of nowhere, lightsaber swinging down diagonally, and locks his blade against hers, so the two of them are pressing against each other with a 29.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's going to use another force point. I've got him to burn. This is an absurd number of dice. 6, 11, 15, 19, 23, 26, 27, 28, 31, 34, 35, 36. So you come and you lock sabers with her. You see this, the flickering, the sparking, the strobing effect of these sabers pressing against each other. Through the glass, you can see her face. And it's almost in slow motion, and it's just this muted sort of thing where you look, and through the strobing you see the face of your Padawan, gaunt and pale, and there are tears streaming down her face. But there is hate in her eyes, Jace, as she looks at you. And as soon as you glimpsed it, her face is gone as she ignites the other side of the saber and comes upward, catching you across the leg with the blade. You feel this searing pain as the wound is instantly cauterized, and you stumble backwards as she again stands with the saber in hand, both sides ignited. Okay. We're back in the hallway. The Purge Trooper, completely caught off guard as to what is happening, reaches back for their own melee weapon and brings it forward in an attempt to strike you, Kora. So this is going to be a melee attack against you. 2, 3, 4. The melee attack for the Death Trooper is just 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so you're looking for 10 if you're going to oppose with your own melee.
Okay. I'm really good at melee now. So hopefully I don't miss that.
Those character points are very handy.
So I more than beat it, but I did get a 1 on my destiny.
Okay. So they don't get to add a pool to, or a dice to the pool. With that 1 on the destiny die, though, I'm going to say that they actually somewhat catch you off guard, where they're not dealing damage, but they're able to kind of push you backwards with this weapon, gaining themselves a little bit more range between you and them, so they're not so close quarters. As you sort of stumble backwards from this push, you hear behind you lightsabers clashing in the cargo hold, and you can see through the blast doors flashes of red and green and blue and white as these blades clash. Or not green, yellow, sorry. Purge number 2 is going to is coming forward with this electro staff, Quin-Wei, and this trooper does like a little spinny move as he comes forward with this thing, and you can hear him in the helmet, and he says, "Let's go, Jedi." 12, 15, 19 coming at you with a melee.
And that's going to be an opposed melee, correct?
Correct.
All right. Starting to use the other D6 here. How much did you say? 25?
What's that?
What did you, sorry, I cut out. What did you say the total was that they got?
19
25.
for him.
Oh, 19. And he's swinging his electro staff at me?
Yeah.
Quin-Wei feels nauseous in this muck and lack of force. He feels spent, but he must stand here and defend himself, but he's too slow. It cuts him slightly as he brings his blade up to attempt to parry, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, you get it up a little bit too slow. You feel your age, Quin-Wei, as you bring this blade up. You feel the electro staff bite into your side, sending a painful shock, and the trooper follows up with a backhand with his gauntleted fist right across your face, sort of pushing you up against the blast doors. And as he's sort of pressing into you with this force pike, you hear him growl, "Not so tough." All right, Kora, you're up.
Did you say it's the like transparisteel? Could I see Quin-Wei?
Yeah, you see him. He's pressed up against the blast door.
Is there a blaster panel on this half of the hall?
There is.
I pull out my blaster and I shoot it.
Okay. Give me a blasters check if you would.
That is how doors open in Star Wars, by the way.
Yeah, you
And
shoot.
close.
That's exactly how they
You
open.
shoot. Yep. Shoot.
I've literally never seen someone open or close a door in Star Wars without shooting the panel.
Yep.
The funny thing is that everyone
Do they
seems to
open it?
understand it. Like,
Does shooting the
you shoot it.
blaster pad open it or just close? I'm trying to think of a time I've seen
Both,
it.
apparently.
Okay.
They just did it on the most recent episode of The Mandalorian too, and I was just
really?
like, "Oh, that's Star Wars, dude! That guy just shot a door panel."
They
Yeah.
closed it.
Yeah.
10.
10. Okay. I'm gonna say the trooper is gonna oppose it with a melee, basically trying to knock you off your balance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10.
No.
Which you were doing it, so you get it. Just barely.
Kora is like this much better than this purge trooper. That much.
So you bring your blaster up, shoot the blast door, and then get pushed aside by this purge trooper. But the blast door slides open, and Quin-Wei, you feel yourself kind of toppling backwards, now free from the purge trooper's grasp. And you can see on the other side of the blast door another purge trooper fighting with Kora. It is now your turn, Quin-Wei.
The blast door opens. Quin-Wei stumbles through, thankful for what Kora has done, given him space, breathing room. Quin-Wei is going to attempt to force push this purge trooper back towards the escape pod hatch that they jumped out of in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give me a alter check, please.
-2.
2, 3, 4, 5. 11, 14, 16, 18. You're looking for 18 or better.
14, 19.
Damn. Yep. What does that
What
look
did you
like?
say?
I said 18.
Oh, so sick.
This is
Can
a
I?
very
I wish
close thing that's happening here.
Quin-Wei uses the force, channels the force to push this purge trooper back, and he might even fly back and slide on the floor back, and he's again right next to that escape pod hatch that he leapt out of in the first place. Quin-Wei's going to move towards him to close that distance a little bit.
Great. Okay, back in the hold, third sister is going to lash out with melee against you, Jace. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I rolled too many dice.
You rolled too many dice.
I rolled too many dice. I need to try again. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just going to roll so I can get it wrong. I rolled a 12, so none of that happens. I push him back, but he maybe stands stalwart and continues closing the gap against
Correct.
me.
Yes.
So sorry.
Thank you for being honest, Parker. So coming at you, Jace, with a melee here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to use another force point. 9, 10, 11, 12. Fistful of dice, baby. All right. 6, 11, 16, 18, 21, 22, 24, 27, 29, 31, 33, 37.
So I've got to beat that with an opposed melee, right?
Yep.
Without using a force point, I will not be able to do so, and I am saving my force point, so we will just say that she takes that one. What does she do?
She presses the attack. She wounded you in the last melee. She presses the attack parrying a blow from Zur as she steps forward, and just as you're starting to recover from her slash across your leg, Jace, she slashes again, and you feel a searing pain across your left arm, and sparks sort of fly off of it. You feel burning as the wound again instantly cauterizes. Pain just flashes through your mind. You try to pull upon the force to try and calm yourself and keep the flow of adrenaline from overtaking your senses, but the force, again, doesn't respond like it normally does. It's deadened here. You feel like you have cotton balls in your ears. You just can't make sense of what's going on here. All you can see is this black, glassy face closing in on you, lit by the whirling sabers in front of her. Zur, you're up.
Zur, seeing his ally in trouble, taking out two fairly serious hits. Any touch with a lightsaber is a serious hit. So he'll rush in, changing his stance. He had been attacking her kind of from behind and kind of off to the side to try to hopefully pull her glances, but she seems so dead set on Jace now. So he'll similarly to Jace before, take a couple steps back so that he can take a running leap forward to jump over the top of her, using one of the sabers to keep hers aside, before landing. He'll push Jace back with his own back to kind of interject himself between the two of them, before then coming in with the other saber to try to separate his wounded master from this Sith warrior and hopefully deal some damage to her in the process.
Great.
And I'm going to use my last force point to put me at 36.
36? Unless I roll sixes on all of these dice, I'm not going to be able to beat that. And obviously that's not going to happen. Man, close, actually. Really close. But not quite. So that's a point for you. What does that look like, Zur?
So we'll land between Jace and the third sister, pushing the master back for a second so that he can hopefully draw her attention towards himself. Using the one saber to kind of lock this dual-sided saber into one direction to force it down so the other saber so that tilts lopsided, using that opening to come down with the saber in his other hand to then come down. She'll dodge most of it, but he'll manage to just graze the top of her hip bone on her left side as he comes in to thrust with the saber, just barely grazing her.
Yeah, you hear this hiss as she kind of steps backward, sustaining this wound. All right, Jace, you are up.
Yeah, staggering backwards, and it is, as you say, it is a real struggle with the adrenaline pounding through him and with this dark, suppressive, nullifying force weighing against the barriers of his mind. It's almost like he sees his apprentice through a tunnel of darkness, and he closes his eyes. He knows he has to break that if they are to stop her. They need to stop her. The future depends upon it. And so, closing his eyes, he sees that canyon once again, that valley, the breeze moving through it, and he allows it to fill his lungs. And in his mind, there is a voice belonging to Master Stowe Treskin, his master, Sky's master originally. With the Force, nothing is impossible. Spending a force point, Jace is going to try and use the Force to break the suppression, if only for a moment.
Oh.
So I'm guessing that'd be sense, but I mean that's down to you, Matt. Or would it be a physical push? It's it's hard to.
I think. Well, I guess it depends on what you're doing to achieve that. I imagine if you're trying to basically, my inclination is to go with sense.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it will manifest through sense. Let's see what I get. Sorry, pardon me 1 moment. I'm just going to see what I actually have in sense. It's still obviously minus the
minus the
minus
2.
2.
Yep.
Yep. Mm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This isn't going to be amazing, I don't think, but we'll see.
I'll let you know up front here what you need to beat. 5,
Okay.
8, 9, 10 is all that she rolled on her 4.
Oh my god.
That's a couple of ones on there.
So with a 15, Jace is, like I say, looking at his apprentice through this tunnel of darkness. And I like to think that in this moment she's jumped back to Zur and they are locked once again. And the third sister is able to see out of the corner of her eye Jace rising back up. And his saber, he powers it down. And that deep breath that he had drawn in, like the wind through the valley, he exhales. Sky, let go. And there is no judgment, no malice. He's just reaching for his friend.
There's this silence as she's locked with Zur's 2 sabers. You see the barest tilt of her head as she looks to look at you, Jace. You hear her breath over everything else, labored within the helmet. No, she says. No! She reaches out with one hand and force pushes you against the bulkhead. Jace. But as she does so, you all feel the force dampening lift as she loses her concentration over this power. All of you again linked together. There's this jolt as all of you sense one another again, feeling the link, the bond that you all share, this companionship that has been forged over just a few days. But all of you are one in the Force. The Purge Troopers get to go. One swings at you, Kora. 14 on melee, if you'd like to oppose that with melee of your own, or try to dodge out of the way, whatever you want. Drink. I got my Star Wars cup. It's got
Drinking that blue
C-3PO
milk
on it. What's that?
Drinking that blue milk.
Yeah, drinking that blue milk out of the C-3PO cup. What'd you roll, Taylor?
What was it?
I got 11. What did I just say? 11, 16, 17.
I did not beat it, and I got a 1 on the destiny.
Okay. So that's another die for the Purge Troopers. This Purge Trooper comes in, knocks the blaster out of your hand with one end of the Force Pike, and then drives forward with the end of it, and you feel this jolt as the Force Pike hits you. With a 1 on the Destiny die, I'll say that's you dropping your blaster. It leaves your hand, clattering out of reach, and the Purge Trooper presses the attack. The other one sort of pushes himself against the bulkhead that he's been slammed against, Quin-Wei, and is going to just bring this Force Pike down on top of you like it's a hammer. Just that's going to be 8, 14, 15, 18 melee.
Quin-Wei brings up his lightsaber. 3, 5, 10, 14, 18.
So
No.
Yeah, we're locked, and then he presses forward, and you sort of fall backwards.
Got it.
And he gains another die.
Okay.
That puts the
Yikes.
Purge Troopers in the hallway at 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it's 4 to 5.
Okay.
Let's gain the high ground here.
Kora,
That's how you
you're
win.
up. Even though the blaster is out of your hand, even though the Purge Troopers are pushing you back, you're not alone. You feel Quin-Wei, you feel Zur, you feel Jace through the mind link. It is your turn.
Quin-Wei is closest. Certainly they can all feel her fear. She feels their pain. Jace's reaching out. She sees Quin-Wei behind this Purge Trooper who blocks most of her view. She sees him being pressed into by the other Purge Trooper, this hulking figure. And the hand that's empty of the blaster reaches out, and I would like to force push that dude back.
Mm-hmm.
Not mine, but Quin-Wei's.
Let's do it. Give me an
All
alter
right.
check at normal.
Thank you.
No longer -2 dice, thanks to Jace.
Okay, that's good because I only have 2.
What'd you get?
6.
6? Well, you'll be happy to know that I rolled a 5 total on my check. That's a die for you guys. What does that look like, Kora?
It's that connection, that feeling that she's not alone anymore. Her fight is not the only one that matters. And when she looks to where Quin-Wei is, that's what matters more. And it's this instinctual, almost as if she was reaching for a weapon, but it's a push.
Yeah, there's this moment, Quin-Wei, where this Purge Trooper is bearing down on you with this weapon coming down, and then he's just gone, and you hear this and he slams against the bulkhead, and shards of plasteel armor come breaking off as he does so. And as you look down the hallway, you see Kora with her hand outstretched and most likely a shocked expression on her face as she uses the Force for the first time in this method.
You'll see Quin-Wei smile, and he thinks to himself, "You're getting weak, old man." He turns to the foe that was just thrown against the bulkhead that Kora threw so easily where Quin-Wei could not. He brings forward his lightsaber and is going to fight his way, meleeing against this Purge Trooper until he can try to throw him inside the escape pod.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I'm going to roll melee. Okay, that's clear. And then I'm going to use a force point. Oh, excuse me. To double my dice. So I'll be rolling 10. 2, 3, 4, 5. Not this one. It's 5 to 5 right now. Oh my gosh. What is this, Shadowrun? Okay. Here we go. Oh, oof. They went everywhere. All right. Got it. 5. Okay. Wow. 11, 17, 23, 28, 32, 36, 40, 41, and that is 44 total.
Yeah, I think you got it. That's a point for you guys. What does that look
Okay.
like, Quin-Wei?
It looks exactly as described. The fight, the electro staff and the lightsaber clash over and over again. There's Quin-Wei and this Purge Trooper are spinning. Quin-Wei swipes at the Purge Trooper's feet with his lightsaber, and the Purge Trooper jumps expertly to avoid it, and then blocks with the electro staff, backing up all the time until Quin-Wei blocks away the lightsaber and elbows the purge trooper in the broken plasteel on his face, and then kicks him, knocking him back into the escape pod.
Awesome.
Listen, I think, Kora, 6 versus 5 is pretty good odds. If you wanted to, we could... I've been keeping track of these. I think you would need to roll them. So you can decide when we end this duel, but I'm just saying 6v5 would be cool, and this dude's already in the escape pod.
Do I have to choose now?
I don't think so, actually. The rules just say it whenever a combatant wants to. You trust in your feelings, you hear ring through your head.
I guess the question is, if it's not my turn, can I end it?
So it's on your turn that you have to do it.
Okay.
On their turn, if they feel they can conceivably beat their opponent, combatant can choose to end the duel and roll their side's duel dice, making a final decisive action. The opponent then does the same. However,
Still my turn? Go ahead.
you rolled really high, Barker. I will let you take one of the purge troopers out of the duel without necessarily ending the duel by shooting this guy out of an escape pod shaft.
Excellent. Into hyperspace. Okay.
Yeah.
So Quin-Wei does that. He launches this guy into the escape pod, hits the pad, it closes, and he puts his hand on the transparent steel. Or is it transparent steel? Plasteel?
Mm-hmm. Transparent steel, yeah.
Transparent steel, nice. And says, "Forgive me." And he hits the launch button, jettisoning the escape pod into hyperspace, and it just disintegrates as it's launched out of the ship.
I'd like to think that when you hit the button, there's like a little prompt that's like in Arabesh. It says like, "You're in hyperspace. Are you sure?" And you're like, "Yes."
Yep. It makes me like check the box to say I'm not a robot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh god, dang, stupid freaking.
Yeah, and the escape pod absolutely disintegrates. It just goes, and it just atomized, just powder as this vessel not designed to survive in this other dimension of space just vaporizes into nothing. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Back in the hold, the third sister has just force pushed Jace away and is locked with Zur. Zur, she's going to try and just press this attack and fight super aggressively, making a melee check against you. 2, 3, 4, 5. She's going to use her last force point. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 6, 11, 14, 17, 22, 28, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 38.
That will beat my 29.
Okay.
But I did get a 6 on my destiny die.
So she presses the attack. Sort of, you are barely getting these sabers up to block them, and then she finds an opening, thrusting forward, and you feel this pain erupt in your side as she jabs just slightly with one of these crimson blades. You feel the wound burning in your side. What do you want to do with that 6 on the destiny die?
Let's see, maybe I think Zur will like intentionally like once the attack starts to hit and he knows it won't kill him, he'll like intentionally let the saber like cut through that part of him so that he can press the attack against her while she thinks that she has him pinned, and maybe get like an extra dice on his next check or something.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Let's do that. Yeah, so you basically let that happen to gain some ground here in the duel. And it's actually your turn here, Zur. Barker in the chat says Zur pulls out a third lightsaber. Is that General Grievous over here? What the hell?
I got another.
I got
lightsaber.
another. Oh my god. He's holding it with his foot somehow. He's just like... Oh,
yeah,
man.
so as she manages to like get a good offensive against Zur, she'll actually like knock away both of his lightsabers. They'll go like clattering onto the ground as she like cuts into his side. As she like perhaps grins behind the mask, goes to finish him off. He's going to like reach up with his hands and just like in this burst of determination, hear his master's words. And for the first time, like the fear and the stress of the battle will like wash away entirely into this like perfect meditative calm. And this like burst of yellow will come from his hands. He's going to like force absorb to catch her lightsaber and try to push it into her own body.
That's dope. That's really cool. Okay. Yeah.
For I guess the altar. I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Uh-huh.
That is going to be with the extra dice. It's going to be 32 for me.
Oh my god. 3. I only got 18. You catch the blades of this saber. And there's just this moment where you're both looking at each other in apparent shock. She goes, curious, and like steps back and readies the saber again. She looks, seeing Jace starting to recover from the force push, and she looks at you, Zur, and says, you don't have to die. You are a powerful Jedi. You do not yet know the power that you hold. Jace Tyro will abandon you. I will not. There's a future for you in the Inquisition, Zordarin.
There was a time not too long ago when those words may have had sway. Sitting across from you in that room, and you were talking to me, I almost considered it. But in such a short time, I've realized something. It is not he that abandoned you. He's been looking for you ever since. You're the one who has abandoned him. Abandoned yourself, abandoned your principles, abandoned the Jedi. I will not do that. And I'll catch the two sabers that had been thrown onto the ground, lighting them back up.
She spins the saber around. Then you will die with the rest of them. Jace, it is your turn.
Jace feels his heart soar at Zur's words. He knows what he has to do. And striding forward, not breaking into a run this time, just a walk. He just starts walking towards his apprentice. The lightsaber activates blue in his hand once again as he uses the Force to strike at her once again to lock her into position using a Force die, which I've pre-rolled as a 51.
I'm not even going to roll. There's no way I can beat that. Go ahead and describe it, Jace.
So as these words are exchanged, she turns and the third sister can just see her old friend just walking calmly up towards her. The lightsaber ignites as he swings and locks. So the sabers are just held above them. And whilst he's looking at her face once again, he says, "Take off that mask."
She's locked on one side with Zur, on one side with you, Jace. She reaches up. You see her face beneath the hood that she wears. You're not sure why, but you half expect it to be scarred or disfigured or just different. But it's her. It's her. She drops the glass mask to the plating. And as she stands there, lightsabers locked, she says, "This is the way I want it to be. I want you to see my face when I kill you, Jace Tyro. And I want you to see my face when I kill him," she says, nodding towards Zur. Back in the hallway, the lone remaining purge trooper is going to reach back and pull out a grenade. Beep, 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 beep. He throws it down the hallway and dives into an alcove. That's going to be a throw check for him. And he throws it nearest to you, Quin-Wei, so let's do an agility to try it and avoid it.
Okie dokie. Okay.
Or something else. If you want to use the Force to try and hurl it away, or use your lightsaber to cut it in half, or whatever you want to try and do.
I think, okay, so I actually do think that he would try to use the Force to put it in the safest, most secure location possible.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like, I don't know, we're in such tight quarters, so I'm not entirely sure where we are. Like, I was thinking actually the other escape pod.
You could put it in the other escape pod and jettison it before it blows up. Yeah.
Yep,
yeah,
that's a really good idea, Taylor. So I'll roll alter.
Yes, alter, and she has still not increased the dampening, so no longer -2, just regular.
And what did this guy get in that throw?
He got 9, 11, 13 total.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Sorry. I was debating. Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Okay, 20. I got 3 6s and a 2. Of course, the 2 was on the Destiny die.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, yeah, it goes into the other escape pod. I kind of like to imagine that, Kora, you're the one who, like, I throw it into the pod and you're the one who jettisons it or something like that.
That's perfect. Yeah, so
the ship probably rocks, though.
Yeah, he throws this, and you see as it's coming towards you that it's a thermal detonator, and it's flying down the hallway, and it stops in midair. Beep, 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 beep. You throw it in there, and it blows up as soon as it jettisons out of the cruiser. It's like, and so the cruiser just like rocks. Everyone drops to the plating as this nuclear size explosion goes off right outside the ship. Zur and Jace, you guys feel it too, maybe even falling backwards, breaking this like lightsaber lock that you have with the third sister. She stumbles backwards, falling against the bulkhead and like looking around in confusion. More klaxons sort of whew, 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 and sparks sort of fly out of nearby consoles as this explosion goes off in the middle of hyperspace. Very cool. Okay, Kora, you're up.
Kora is still like with her hand, she had her hand pressed to the kind of eject button and then has fallen down. Yeah, I think with this purge trooper, she would like to, if he's dropped his thing.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name.
the electro staff. Yeah,
That one.
but I will also accept as nomenclature for it. Yeah,
Either or.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've both kind of fallen, and she would like to pull both her lightsaber and the electro staff to her with the force.
Very cool. You can do so without making a test. Just
okay.
You have them if you want to use them.
I think the only other thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she'll just go and like swing both of them towards this dude, having no idea what she's doing. Very limited lightsaber training.
Yeah, go for it.
What could go wrong? I said that.
Yeah, maybe I saw the face.
17, but a 1.
17. Okay, he got 15, so that's another die for you guys in the pool. He catches the lightsaber, but then you drive forward with the electro staff, sticking it between the black plasteel of his armor plates, and you shock him pretty bad with it. He kind of stumbles backwards, still holding up your arm, basically keeping the lightsaber up out of reach. With the 1 on the destiny die, I'll say that it's just he's basically got you grappled with the lightsaber in your arm. Very close quarters. Quin-Wei, you're up.
I think she even drops it, like with a 1.
You drop the saber.
She's still got the electro staff maybe, but he basically forced it out of her hand. Yeah,
he does the shaking your hand, gripping it, bending it back, and you drop the saber. As you let go of it, it disengages.
So can Quin-Wei act and then end the duel, or end the duel as the action?
Duel is your action for the turn. So if you want to end it, you do it now.
Okay. Quin-Wei is going to take his lightsaber and toss it to Kora to end the duel.
Yes.
Kora, since you're the one, you roll 7d6 against their 5.
Okay, so she's in melee with this guy.
Yep.
And she'll drop the electro staff that's in her other hand, reach up to grab Quin-Wei's lightsaber, and we'll see what happens.
Oh
my god.
I got 14.
Yes, come on.
Okay.
Oh, please.
6, 12, 18, 22, 24, 26.
You catch Quin-Wei's saber. The Purge Trooper looks down at it in your hand. How do you end the duel?
Kora has no idea. She has no idea what she's doing with this thing. So she's got it, and I think it's more reaction than decision. As she pulls her arm away from him, the one which had forced her to drop, she'll spin, and the saber will swing around, and just kind of cut him right across his back as she spins.
Yeah, it happens in an instant. It's so quick. Quin-Wei is disengaging the saber and throwing it to you. As you catch it, spinning in one motion, engaging the saber as you spin, and then disengaging it as you're done with the spin. It just turns on for a second, and there's just this silence. And then the top half of this trooper just falls off the bottom half, and the legs fall independently over. He lays there in a smoldering heap in 2 halves. You have won your side of the duel.
Nice. Well done.
Back in the hold. The third sister. She disengages the saber and throws it to the deck. She reaches out with the force and begins pulling at the sides of the ship. You hear as she begins crushing the ship in on itself. She looks at you, Jace, and she says, "We're both dying here. This is how it should have happened, Jace. You should have died with me, instead of leaving me to die alone." She's using alter. 2, 3, 4, 5. Who wants to try and oppose this? I'm going to say Jace. You kind of have to. She's very much directing this energy at you.
Sure. So, what am I using to oppose? Sorry.
You can. It's really up to you. Basic would be opposing alter to try and stop her from doing it. But you can try something else. Anything that you can come up with.
I'm going to use my final force point to stop her from doing this, I think. Because I think she's got me. I think she's got one over me with using alter, I think. Yeah. I'm going to use my final force point to double my die. Oh, God. Hands are literally shaking. Okay, so with the block down, that is now going to be a 30 on the dot. 30.
She rolled a 17.
Oh, okay.
You hear the bulkheads crushing as she's pulling at the ship. What does it look like as you oppose her, Jace?
So as she's reaching out with the force, trying to bring the interior of the ship inwards to crush it inwards, Jace just reaches out with both hands and just counters it by holding it back. So they're like, while she's trying to pull in, he's pushing outwards, and all the time he's stepping towards her, his eyes locked on hers. With the words that she says, "We're both going to die here," echoing in his mind.
Zur
will see the opportunity here and will go to make an alter check of his own, which I'll describe after I hear the results.
Awesome. 3, 4, 5. She'll oppose with alter.
Rolled, and I got a 30.
Okay. 12, 15, 18, 20 total.
Zur will see Jace taking these slow, deliberate steps towards her, using the force of his own to hold the bulkhead from crashing in. And Zur will let the lightsabers disengage and just fall to the ground. And he'll just reach out with his hands of his own, feeling like the heightened force without the suppressant. It's like just a fire raging of this force energy. He'll feel the connection between him, Jace, Master Mox, Kora, kind of uniting this power as one between their link, and just reach out with his hands and grab at her with the force and use the force telekinesis to immobilize her and hold her in place and stop her from moving. And he'll just yell, "I have her held! Now's your chance, Jace!"
Her arms are pinned and there's just rage just radiating off of her. Her eyes just bore into yours, Jace. She looks at you without a mask between you. It is your turn.
How many are we on?
We have 9. I think you have to roll it.
Okay, I'm going to roll it. That is 38.
I got 15.
Do I describe it?
Yep.
Jace steps forward and he can hear Zer's voice behind the whirlwind of force power that is just reverberating through this hangar. And he looks into his eyes, the eyes of his apprentice, and he knows what he has to do. He reaches out with the force and pushes Zer away. Reaching out with his other hand, he calls to the third sister's lightsaber that now lies on the floor and throws it to her. She catches it and ignites it out of instinct. And Jace steps into it as he presses his lightsaber into her chest. And looking into her eyes, he says, "It is done. You no longer need to hate." And they both sink to the ground. His blue lightsaber deactivates and drops to the ground, as does her crimson. He turns and he looks up to Zer, and their eyes meet for a moment. And he says, "Protect Kora. Listen to Quin-Wei. And trust in the Force." And he looks into his apprentice's eyes. And he says, "Come with me. And if it's all right, they fade."
In her last moments, she's laying on the deck. It's quiet in the hold. Eerily so after the cacophony of the battle. You hear sparks falling. There's a slight hiss as air escapes through one of the fissures that she created in the bulkhead. Quin-Wei and Kora, the two of you, step into the room as you finish in the hallway. You see Jace laying there beside the third sister, her mask removed. She's reaching out for the mask. It's laying there. And then you say, "Come with me." And she looks at you, Jace, and wordlessly, you both fade, becoming one with the Force. The only thing that remains of Jace Tyro and his apprentice are two lightsabers and a shattered glass mask.
There is no death, Quin-Wei says, behind Kora and Zer.
What is it?
There's only the Force.
The cruiser drops out of hyperspace. There are sparks and smoke trailing from this damaged ship, but it limps its way to a lone gas giant in the dark of Wildspace. Around this gas giant are many moons. One of them is a gray-green color, like a marble against the black of space. You see on the navicomputer that this moon is called Enon, and it once served as a forward base for the Republic during the Great Sith War. You descend through mist and fog and find yourself on a world of marshes. You set down at the coordinates you were given by Zur's old master. There you find a simple bunker, an old base. KOVRA Kash called this the Temple. It's more of a code name. This is a military base, fortified, secluded. Most importantly, it's hidden. The bunker itself is merely the tip of the base. There are tunnels and chambers stretching on for miles in all directions. It is there, KOVRA Kash said, that you will hide, that you will learn and teach. It is there that the Jedi Order can be preserved and made anew. I'd like to give each of you a chance to describe a scene with your character. We'll go ahead and start with you, Quin-Wei, the new master of this temple.
Quin-Wei walks through the labyrinthine tunnels. Stops to speak for a moment with Zur. He leans on this walking stick he picked up outside and says, I do not think I am yet ready to teach. He continues on through the tunnels, past Kora. He reaches out and hands her his lightsaber. He continues moving towards the kind of epicenter, the underground epicenter of this place. He finds a room that used to store armaments and weapons and thinks to himself, this will do. He kneels down before what will become a Jedi temple. He spends his last force point and he looks up. He sees his master glowing an aura of blue. He sees Zur's master. He sees dozens of others, and appearing in the center of them, Jace Tyro and his apprentice. He speaks softly. Peace, knowledge, serenity, harmony. And then his clothes unravel around him, and he becomes the Force. Inside your heads, Kora and Zur, you hear the words, the Force will be with you, always. And now he's ready to teach.
Zur.
Sometime later, Zur is sitting in whatever meager quarters that they've been set up with while the actual construction of this place is being done. He's sitting cross-legged on the ground, eyes closed behind his Keldor mask. In his hand, the communicator that Quin-Wei had back in the prior temple. The message from his master, the last message, finishes playing on the communicator. And Zur will set it down on the ground next to him. I finally understand all those things that you had said, that you had taught me. To stay calm, to surrender against emotion, does not mean that we cannot be scared, that we cannot be mad, that we cannot be frustrated. It means that we cannot let those things cloud our actions or cloud our minds and affect the course of what we do. To feel those things is normal. To fight against them, to overcome them, to do anyways what needs to be done in those moments. That is what the Jedi Code is about. Not about ignoring, but overcoming. Thank you. And I'll reach down with this last message on this communicator device, and he'll crush it in his hands, destroying the past, leaving it there. And I'll stand up, ready to go, to learn and to teach with the rest of the Jedi.
Kora.
For a while, it's just Zur and Kora. And she hears Quin-Wei sometimes. And maybe Jace. And voices she doesn't quite know, but they're familiar all the same. And then one day as she sits cross-legged, she has this feeling, this tug. With her eyes closed, she sees a thread. And it goes up. She follows it in her mind across a galaxy. She comes in to Zur, knocking and entering at the same time, and all in one breath. Zur, there's someone else.
And I'd like to give Jace a chance as well to have a final scene. Do with that what you will, Rob.
The netherworld of the Force is infinite. It reaches out across the galaxy, touching every living thing, binding it together. Life, death, the Force. And through it, many messages and words of wisdom can be heard. To confront fear is the destiny of a Jedi. And as we hear this, one point in space and time, Jace stands with his friends and with allies from thousands of years ago. And they rest. And they are one.
And that is where we're going to end Star Wars Reclamation. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this campaign. I can say without reservation that this is one of my favorite campaigns that I've ever run. And this session was probably just, oh my God. I can't remember the last time I like teared up during an RPG session, but I absolutely did. These players are phenomenal, and I couldn't have asked for a better group of players to join me on this tale of Jedi. Yeah, this was fantastic. I'm going to give everyone a chance to do their outros and say their goodbyes, and then we'll go ahead and close out this campaign. So we'll the boxes got moved around a little bit, but we'll go ahead and start with Taylor playing Jace Tyro.
I'm Taylor. I am one with the Force. How excellent to have been part of this story and this game. And it was mentioned earlier that the 3 sessions feels somehow too long and too short, like we accomplished so much and there's still a lot left to do. So maybe we can talk you into doing more. It was excellent. Really loved it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I'm already thinking about what this Jedi Temple is going to look like in a few years of the Star Wars universe. What's going to happen there with Zur and with Kora. Yeah. All right. Barker, Quin-Wei.
So I'd become a blue Force Ghost that's going to teach the Jedi Academy, which is something that is now canon. So
yeah.
I just got off the phone with Walt Disney himself. He's also a Force Ghost. And yeah. So Taylor, that ending was amazing. Rob, you gave your apprentice exactly what she wanted. She wanted you to die there together, and she wanted you to see her face. And I never saw that coming. That was the most Jedi thing ever.
Yeah.
This game it's just like a broken record, but this is my favorite Star Wars campaign I've ever played in. This system's awesome. We've spoken about that a whole ton. No, I'll say it one last time. This is the only Star Wars system where it's fun to play Jedi. It's the only, and I'm including video games, like massive multiplayer online games. I'm including, like, this system is it's the only one that makes it fun. It's the, Jedi are game breaking in every other role playing system except for this one. So thanks. I'm at Inspire the Barks on Twitter, and which is something I'm learning how to do right now. I just learned how to put up a GIF. So I'm right there with you, Gen Y. And no, I appreciate all of you. This was an amazing game. Thanks so much for inviting me into it, and I look forward to whatever comes next.
I can't get the image out of my head of Barker like with a skateboard over his shoulder, like, what's the word, fellow kids? Like, as he comes onto Twitter.
What's the word, fellow?
Oh man. Who's next? Is there Darin? Jeff, go ahead, man.
Yes, I'm Jeff. YouTube, Tabletop Terrors, all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, like, what's there to say that like all these other people haven't already said? Like, this system is the best Star Wars system. This game was the best Star Wars game. Like, it's just, if you took like a highlight reel of like most long campaigns, like that, like many sessions, 15 to 20 session long campaigns, and like crammed that down into like one session, you have like the same amount of awesome moments that like Rob by himself put up in this game. And that's not even counting everybody else's. Like, it's just like start to finish, there wasn't a single moment that I wasn't like on the edge of my seat, like waiting with bated breath for every single next turn to happen. And yeah, it's just an absolute dream to be a part of. So thank you, Matt, for having me here, and thanks to the rest of you guys for making it like genuinely special. Like, we do this a lot, all of us, and it can be tough sometimes to find a game that like really makes you feel it deep down and viscerally in the way that this one did. All the sessions, and especially this one tonight to wrap it up. Yeah, just genuinely very special. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's one of those sessions where I was simultaneously thinking, I fucking love Star Wars, and simultaneously I love RPGs. Just like, this is so cool that we get to do this, and like, it is the grown-up version of these climactic lightsaber duels that I had in my backyard as a kid, and now I'm an adult and I get to have the big boy version of that, and that is just like super awesome. So last but certainly not least, the man who might actually just be a Jedi in real life, Rob Coletta, go ahead.
As Jeff said, what more is there to say? But there is more to say. My sign off is just going to be a number of thank yous, really. Star Wars, playing Star Wars, there are a number of traps that you can fall into. All of them have been evaded by this game. Taylor, when people play Star Wars, they usually want to do all the cool lightsaber stuff. They want to do all the flips. They want to do using the Force and Force push and stuff. Taylor, you were able to play a character that didn't know what the hell they were doing throughout the whole thing, but be so purely quintessential, like a Star Wars character. So that is just wonderful. Jeff single-handedly, in an offhand comment in the second session, gave me my character arc, saying, "Oh, your failure isn't just yours; it's all of ours. We share it together." It was the student teaching a more experienced Jedi a new lesson, which is something that is always reoccurrent through Star Wars. Barker, you're one of the wisest people I've ever known. You are a Jedi as well, it has to be said. And the reoccurring motif of there is no death, like that for me was like I didn't know it at the time, but that was obviously going to be the sign off of this game without us even knowing it. Like you said it in I think it might have been the first thing you said in the first session. Like, and it's just those little moments that came back that you brought to life. And finally, Matt, thank you, because for the first time ever, yeah, I truly 100% felt like a Jedi, and that is a gift I will never forget. So thank you. Just amazing.
Thank you, man. And thank you to all of you. This is truly a special campaign, and I really appreciate all of you joining me on this this little adventure. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and call it here. I hope everyone enjoyed the campaign. There's going to be some more HyperspaceD6 coming up very soon. I'm already gathering players for my next campaign, which will be a scum and villainy-centric campaign. Another trilogy, three games. So that should be pretty fun. And we all get to enjoy some new Star Wars this week. There's a new Star Wars movie coming out in like 4 days, which is like, what the hell? What the hell? I'm so excited about that.
Last saga.
It's the last movie of the saga. So let's all enjoy some Star Wars this week, however you choose to do that. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Take care. Happy gaming all. And may the Force be with you.